People living in America know that the long highways stretching across states like Nevada, Arizona, and Texas are more than just roads. These are routes where, for hours at a time, there may be no sign of another human being. Hundreds of miles of nothing but desert, darkness, and the sound of radio static. For years, these highways have been monitored by highway patrol units. Their job is to document anything unusual, every abandoned vehicle, every emergency call, every suspicious activity. But over time, certain cases began appearing inside those records that officers witnessed but could never fully explain. An officer sees something, a report is filed, an investigation begins, but in the end, either the evidence disappears, or the records are altered, or the case is closed without any real conclusion. Today we're going to look at 5 such cases, 5 separate incidents, 5 different highways, but every case shared one thing in common: whatever was recorded, the system later failed to fully explain. Case 1, on Nevada. Highway 318, a highway patrol unit noticed an SUV parked along the side of the road. It was around 3 a.m. The highway was completely empty. There were no gas stations or towns for miles. The SUV was parked perfectly straight on the shoulder. No hazard lights, no movement. The officer ran the license plate as part of a routine check. But the result that came back was not normal. The plate was not stolen, not expired, not registered to another vehicle. The system displayed only one line: no record found. That kind of result sometimes appears with damaged or outdated plates, but this situation was different. The plate looked brand new. The officer approached the vehicle. The SUV was locked. No one was inside. But the dashboard screen was still on. And the strangest part, even though the engine was off, the radio inside the vehicle was still playing. Very quietly. The officer called for backup. While waiting for the second unit to arrive, they attempted to run the VIN number, but the VIN database also returned an error. Not a match, not invalid, just error. According to the report, both officers stated they had never seen a dual system failure like this before. A tow truck was requested. But approximately 35 minutes later, when the tow unit arrived, the SUV was gone. The road was empty, no tire marks, no traffic activity recorded. There was also no record of any vehicle passing through that area during that time. Later, 2 more incidents were documented on the same highway, and both shared the same detail: a vehicle that officially did not exist in the system. Case 2, on Arizona's I-40 highway, an officer was conducting a routine night patrol when a stationary object appeared on the radar screen. Distance, approximately half a mile. The signal looked exactly like a stopped vehicle on the roadside, but as the officer moved closer, the road ahead appeared completely empty, and yet the radar signal remained for nearly 80 seconds. According to the report, the officer switched on the high beams. The road was clearly visible, no vehicle, no person. But the radar continued displaying the exact same distance. And then, the moment the officer reached the point where the object should have been, the signal vanished instantly. The officer stopped the patrol vehicle, searched the surrounding area. Nothing was found, no marks on the road, no debris left behind. The radar unit was later inspected. No malfunction was discovered. The case was closed as equipment interference, but nearly 3 years later, another officer reported an almost identical incident on the exact same stretch of highway. Both reports listed nearly the same distance, and in both cases, the signal disappeared at the precise moment the officer entered visual range. Case 3, near the New Mexico border, an officer noticed a structure sitting some distance away from the highway during a nighttime patrol. The building was rectangular, completely dark, and showed no signs of activity. The officer logged the GPS coordinates and included them in the report. But there was one problem. According to official maps, no structure existed at that location, no power lines, no registered property, nothing. 2 weeks later, the report was amended, and the entire description of the structure was removed. The GPS coordinates were deleted as well. No explanation was provided. The file simply stated, "Administrative Revision." Later, the original archived version of the report was recovered. The difference between the two documents was obvious, but to this day, no official explanation has been given for why the information was removed.
And the strangest detail of all, the revision was processed on a day when the officer involved was not even scheduled to be on duty. Case 4. On Texas Highway US 83, Highway Patrol responded to a reported vehicle accident. A car had gone off the road and down an embankment. The driver was injured, but alive. When officers arrived, a man was already at the scene assisting the driver. He gave a detailed description of the accident. How the vehicle drifted. How control was lost. He also provided his name, phone number, and address. Everything was recorded. But during the follow-up investigation, the phone number was found to belong to no active account. The address turned out to be an empty lot. And the name returned no match in any database. Still, the injured driver confirmed that the man had definitely been there. He had spoken with him. According to the officer, when he turned away briefly to radio dispatch, the witness was still standing there. But only seconds later, when he looked back, the man was gone. No vehicle was nearby. The highway was completely empty. And later at the hospital, the driver made one disturbing statement. He said, "When I regained consciousness, the man was already standing there." Case 5. Near the California border, multiple officers reported hearing a strange radio transmission over several years while patrolling an isolated highway. A frequency that was officially inactive. The first report stated that the officer heard several tones, followed by a repeating sequence of numbers. The transmission lasted around 4 minutes. Then suddenly stopped. Over the next 3 years, 5 additional officers reported hearing the exact same pattern. Every report described nearly identical details. Tones. Then numbers. The strangest part was this: the transmission could only be heard along one specific section of highway. The moment officers left the area, the signal stopped. When they returned, it sometimes resumed. 2 officers even recorded the audio. Eventually, the case was forwarded to the FCC. A formal inquiry began. But during the very same week, the transmission stopped completely. It was never reported again. No public conclusion was ever released. Individually, each of these 5 cases could be explained away with ordinary answers. A database error. Radar malfunction. Incorrect reporting. A false witness. Radio interference. But what makes these incidents unusual is not the events themselves. It's the gap between what was documented and what was officially concluded. Every officer filed detailed reports. Every event was recorded. But when the time came for further investigation, either the evidence disappeared, the reports were altered, or the cases were quietly closed without answers. And maybe that's why some American highways are still viewed as more than just roads, but as places where sometimes the things people see don't remain fully present in the official record afterward.